Hi everyone! This week we are discussing a really important topic: mistakes to avoid in your marriage. Now, for those of you that don't know, I have been married for over 12 years to my husband Daniel, and we've been together for a little over 15 years. Now, I know that no marriage is perfect. However, we do have a really beautiful relationship and a marriage that I will definitely not exchange for anything in this world. And I've really learned a lot during these past 15 years as a married woman. Believe me when I tell you that I have most certainly made my fair share of mistakes, and I've also been on the wrong side of reacting in certain situations in our marriage. But I've also seen the positive effect that it had on my marriage when I avoided these mistakes and when I chose to rather act in a positive way about certain situations and focused on my personal growth as a wife. So, in this video, I want to share with you my personal experience and some of the mistakes that you can avoid in your marriage. Let's get to it. Stop bringing up stuff from your past. What I don't understand is, why do we call it the past if you keep bringing it up in the future? It's definitely not going to help your argument now if you keep on digging into old wounds and mistakes that you've sorted out already. Expecting him to change after the marriage. Now, this is one reasoning that I do not understand. It's the same principle as buying a couch, and then when you actually receive the couch, you expect it to be a different color. If both of you aren't willing to make certain changes or compromises even before you get married, then don't expect it to be any different after marriage. Lying. Now, this might seem really obvious, but you will be shocked to learn how many wives still lie to their husbands and keep the smallest of secrets. Oh no, Nikita, it's just a small little lie, and nobody got hurt in the process. You are missing the point, lady. It's not just about one small white lie or one little secret. It's actually about breaking the trust and being deceitful towards your husband and actually misusing and abusing the trust that your husband has in you and in your marriage. I'm just besides myself when I see how women manipulate their husbands. Using manipulation without any disregard for your spouse's needs and wants and how it would affect them. That is just plain selfish. Stop manipulating them to do your bidding and to get control over them, because that's not love. Disrespect. Now, if you are disrespectful towards your husband, whether it's physically or verbally, you definitely have a really tough road ahead of you. And I can promise you that your marriage will likely fail. Remember, you have to treat your husband or wife the way that you would want to be treated. Now, I know I seem really serious in this video, but it's because marriage is a very serious topic for me. It is not something that has to be taken lightly, and especially when it comes to certain mistakes that you made that you can actually be better at. And the one thing is making assumptions. Stop thinking or assuming that this person meant something behind what they actually said. And stop assuming what you think they want or need. Rather go to them in love and talk about it with them. Ask them what their intentions were or what they actually meant. Which brings us to the next point. No communication. Now this is most probably one of the biggest things that causes conflicts in a marriage is no communication, or rather the lack of. Hints. So I get super annoyed when I hear women making hints at their husbands. Just tell them straightforward what you want or what you need or what you actually want to say to them. They are not mind readers, ladies. Hints won't work because men are not like us. They don't think like women. So they won't necessarily get the hints that you make. This is just another great example of the lack of communication. Most women want to complain about their husbands not understanding them, but they don't make an effort to actually communicate with their husbands because they just hint at stuff. I will say it once again, it's all about communication. Now this is specifically a request to the women out there. Stop wanting to control everything in your house. Give your husband the chance to be a leader and the provider of your household, the way that God wants him to be. Not allowing your husband to have his own hobby. Yes, you should be a priority for your husband, but don't be so dependent on your husband and so clingy that you don't even give him the space to enjoy his own hobby or off time at home. He's still his own individual person that might like to play a game every now and again, or maybe go fishing with his best bud. So give him the freedom to enjoy some me time. It's definitely something you'd expect him to do for you too. Comparing your husband to another man. I think this is probably one of the worst things that you can do to your husband to bring him down, is to actually compare him with another man. What is the reason that you actually married him then in the first place? If you think back, it's because he was unique and he was different and he was so much more special, compared to the guys that you actually dated, right? So cherish him for the unique and special person God created him to be. Criticizing him and what he does. Please be careful of the impact that your words can have on your husband. If you negatively criticize everything your husband does and says, how do you think you'll feel after a few months, a few years? A washed-up nobody that's not able to make good decisions for his family or able to take care of them. There's a lot of might in your tongue, so rather build your husband up than break him down. Thinking a child is going to fix your marriage. Now, I know it's easy to say because we don't have kids of our own yet. But I can promise you that I've been around enough marriages where I've seen this specifically happen. But now, the worst is that that kid has to grow up either in a terrible situation where his parents don't love each other, or even worse, a broken up and divorced family. I can promise you, if you can't work through your issues and fix your marriage, a baby definitely will not be able to do it. External factors causing internal problems. What I mean by this specifically is listening to too much opinions of other people's when it comes to your marriage and your relationship with your husband. There's a big difference between them warning you about the danger signs of being in a bad relationship or just plainly bad-mouthing your spouse, your marriage, or the decisions that you make together as a couple. And this leads us to the next point. Stop discussing your personal things and your marriage with your friends and your family. This is a point that I myself personally am very cautious about. You and your spouse have both left your families to form your own family. The two of you have now become one flesh. The fact is, your marriage actually has nothing to do with anybody else. So stop discussing your personal stuff with them. Thinking you are always right. Here's a question. Do you think you are right because of your own personal opinion? Or are you right because it's going to make you feel better about not being wrong? Maybe listen to that one again. Cheating. Now I know this is probably another obvious one, but an article from Insider in 2019 reported a whopping 59% of all divorces are because of infidelity. Looking at these figures, is it still that obvious then that it's a mistake that you need to avoid in your marriage? Having nasty habits. Now, what I think is a nasty habit is definitely not the same as what you think is a nasty habit. So that is why communication is still such a crucial point in your marriage. Share your feelings and your opinions with your spouse. Tell them if there's something that they do that grosses you out, and then have the heart and understanding to try and see it from their point of view and how they feel about it. Even if you might not agree. If you have nasty habits, it might affect your marriage more than you think. Temper tantrums. So a few weeks ago, I'm sitting in the car waiting for Daniel at the shop, and I hear this ruckus behind me. And I look back to see an older couple, coming from the back, walking towards their car. And I hear the husband saying in a very calm and, relaxed demeanor, "Gertrude, I'm not going to run after you again." And thinking about it, I'll probably say they're in their late 60s. But the wife is beside herself. You can just see her face. She is mad. She's not in the mood for him. She just grabs her handbag, her arms crossed. There she goes. She struts off with the road. She's walking. I don't know where she's going, but she just had her fit and she walked. And the husband got in the car and he sat there and waited. And a few minutes later, we drove past her, and she was still on her mission, walking down the road, going, I've got absolutely no clue where. But I looked at it and I was shocked, because being that age, and just reacting in that way. And let's call a spade a spade. Most of the temper tantrums come from us women. So ladies, temper tantrums, please just stop. Shouting and screaming and yelling when you are angry and arguing with your husband. I don't think this needs much of an explanation. Now, if you are at a party or in a group of people and your husband says something that you don't agree with or that you don't like, be respectful towards him. Don't correct him or address that matter in front of the people. The thing is, it will just create an unpleasant and very difficult atmosphere for both of you and the other people that you are with. You don't want to air your dirty laundry in front of a crowd. Making your kids a priority and putting them above your husband. Now let me explain this one. Be careful that you focus so much on your kids and spend so much time with them that you unnoticingly start to neglect your husband and then spend less time with him. The thing is, your kids see and remember everything. Your relationship with your husband, the way that you treat him, your affection towards him, how you speak about him and to him, this will all have a lasting effect and impact in your child's life. Remember that. So ensure that you don't neglect your husband. Show your kids that you love him through your actions and your words. Show them that he's a priority for you too. The lack of physical attention and intimacy actually hints at a bigger problem. And it's your responsibility to figure out what that problem is. Apart from just telling your spouse that you love them, you need to prove it through your actions. Make sure that you give them the physical attention they want and need. Not taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Now I know that I'm going to get a few comments about this because Nikita, if he loves me, he'll accept me the way that I am. Okay, so let me ask you this. When you start dating, you make a constant effort to look pretty, smell nice, wear nice clothes, and so forth. But after a few years of marriage, you fall into this mindset of, oh, he loves me, I don't need to make an effort anymore. Really? In fact, taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually will show your husband that you respect yourself and him enough to try and be the best version of you. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have a nice chilled sweatpants and t-shirt day with your husband. But being married does not give you the permission to look like a hobo every day. Thinking everything should be split 50-50. Some days you'll have to do more because your husband might be busy with a big business meeting. But the following week, he'll maybe have to jump in and help with some of the house chores because you're maybe sick in bed with a bad flu. Very important. Your marriage is not a competition and it's not the Olympics. So stop keeping score. I think the ultimate mistakes that we as women make is to think that our husbands have to be, or wanting them to be, as close to perfect and wanting them to do things the way that we think it should be done. The thing is that we grew up in certain and different ways. We were taught certain things by our parents. We all grew up with different experiences. So we are going to have different points of views of marriage and how we feel things should be done. However, it does not mean that your opinion is the right one. Instead of criticizing your husband the whole time of how you think he can change and improve, rather look at ways that you can make improvements and ways that you can grow to be the best version of the wife that you can be for him. The one thing that I can say from being a wife myself for these past few years is when I act through kindness, love, patience, and with respect towards my husband, I always get the same in return. Something Charles Spurgeon said, "Married life is not all sugar, but grace in the heart will keep away most of the sours." And lastly, keep praying for your spouse and your marriage. See you in the next video, guys. Bye.